Welcome. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And make sure you stay to the end and watch my Good to Know segment. As a life coach, I share with you what's really good to know. So today we're going to explore the world of dating and dating in a hectic world that we live in. And so please welcome my guest today, Amy Schoen.
Hi, thank you.
Oh,
it's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. Amy is a certified professional life coach and dating and relationship expert. And that's what everybody needs nowadays, right?
Right. Yeah, well, it can't hurt.
Right. I mean, it's okay to be single, right? It's everybody's.
Sure, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people are very happy being single. And you know, I propose having the best possible life you can as a single person or whatever. But sometimes people really have goals and they really want to meet that special person, and whether it's to have a companion in your life or to build a family. There are many reasons why people decide and said, I really feel like I should be married or in a partnership. I know myself, I went through a divorce in my mid-30s, and I always saw myself married. I mean, my parents had a long marriage of 40 plus years. My grandparents were married over 70 years.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's just what I saw, and which was something that felt natural to me. And being on my own, I was fine with it. I learned how to cope. But I really see myself having a partner and somebody to share your life and come home to, and someone to go on trips with, and someone just, you know, to have that date night. So it's just, and to have a family as well.
Yeah. So is that what inspired you to really specialize in that, in dating and relationships? Your own experience?
Well, I think it helped. What happened is people were sending people to me, and they knew that I was dating. Like I said, I was divorced in my mid-30s. I was a very active dater. I'm pretty extroverted. I have no trouble meeting people, but to meet the right person was difficult, and I was going around and around in circles. And I myself, when I turned 40, hired a coach. And it really helped me. And then after I met my husband and got married at 42, and then I went through a career shift myself at the time because I wanted to find a career that I could have a family with. Life coaching just popped up, and then people were just sending people to me and said, you need to talk to Amy. She seemed to really know how to find and meet people. And so then I said, well, I don't really want to mess with people's lives, you know. So I got trained and certified as a life coach through Coach Training Institute. Yeah. And so then, you know, I started using the life coaching model to help my clients, because I noticed that a lot of times people were not looking at what else was going on in their life and what's impacting their dating. And so Did you
notice that there was a lot of obstacles in there?
Yes, yes, of course. And the number one thing is people really making the time and the effort to meet someone. They say they want to meet someone, but they're not making the space in their lives for that person. And you really can't go and you know, say, well, I can only see you on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. You know, when people want to find a mate, they want to find someone who has the time and will put some energy and make them a priority. So there sometimes has to be shifting in their priorities of their lives. And
do you notice like any other obstacles that tend to keep cropping up? I mean, priorities. I know, you know, shifting that.
Yeah, I think also the gremlins, what we call the omnots. You know, the negative thoughts that we have. Coaching has a way of dealing with them, and we look at what's standing in the way. And so, I mean, I had a client, and she was a sweet little shy accountant, and so she felt like she says, well, I'm really, you know, I'm not a good conversationalist. So that's negative thoughts, and I found that she was, you know, she had friends, just wasn't a bad conversationalist, but some introverted people, they're good with people they know, they're not good with people they don't know. Okay. So we really worked on those kind of skills and helped her feel more comfortable. And she ended up going to an event in the DC area and met her husband, like right out of the gate.
Wow.
And
she must have pushed herself to.
Yeah, she did. I had to.
Yeah,
and I actually suggested this group. I thought it was, you know, a good group for her. It was the same age group. She was in her 30s, and she met her husband there, and they, you know, it progressed, and within a year they got engaged and married.
Wow, that's great. Do you notice that there are certain seasons of the year where people are more, you know, apt to look for mates? I mean,
well, yes, you know, in the new year is one of the busiest times, because after the new year, and then with Valentine's Day looming, everybody wants a date for Valentine's Day.
It's like a 1-2 punch.
It
you know,
is, poor things.
everybody
And they've been through the holidays as a solo and been with their families and feel like there's something missing, and they really want that for themselves. But I think serious people who are looking seriously for a partner are looking all the time. I find also that in the fall, after the summer, people have been playing and doing fun things and traveling, and then the back to business and back to school, you know, people again start thinking seriously about meeting somebody. And then with the end of the year looming, you know, so the fall, the September tends to be a really busy time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I help a lot of my clients with their online dating strategies. So there are these kind of, these peaks and valleys in terms of volume and activity on the online sites. And 80% of my successful clients have met their partners through online dating. So
Wow.
I really have helped them like shift how they put themselves out there, and work with them on their strategy and what to say, and even pictures. And I'm a very visual person. And so, you know, to help them, I was once actually an image consultant.
Oh,
in a past life.
So
I had the clothing store with the image consulting. So, you know, I mean, I help my clients that way as well, and help them with their photos.
Because how they put themselves out there,
Yeah, well, the photos are like the #1 thing that people look at, but then they go and look to see what they wrote.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Right,
I mean, it's a shame, but like in our world, things are
it's
so
very
fast
visual,
paced.
especially with the apps and everything now. I mean, everything is like next.
Yeah.
So you have to capture someone's attention in that way.
And it has to be like a legitimate picture.
Yes.
That's what I've heard is an
But
issue. Like people post pictures from 25 years ago, or, you
yeah.
know,
You're just
or
going
else
to
a
get
fake
someone
picture.
upset. I know people who said that there was somebody, it was like 20 years older, you know, when the person showed up and they didn't even go, they saw the person there and like, oh my God, and they just walked by and they didn't even go to the date. But yeah, most people want people to be honest about those things, and want a recent picture. And I think the sites now are like time stamping things, and, you know, people ask, is this a recent picture, and everything like that.
I never understood that they would put something that wasn't actual, because they're going to find out the second they see you.
Yeah, it's about your values and representing yourself. You know, it's like false advertising.
But how would they think that would make a difference? Or if they said I've heard that people don't write the correct birthdays, or you know how old they are.
The gurus are saying to lie about your age or fudge your age in certain respects, but especially when people are in that age or when they're looking to have a family. I mean, that's going to make just someone mad, and if someone's going to kind of cut you out because of your age, then, you know, you don't want them.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
I mean, if that's what's going to be. I mean, I do have clients of men who are dating women older, and, you know, but I understand when people are looking to have a family, you know, and these men are in their 40s and they're looking to meet someone who are in the late 30s, early 40s, who can still have families and children.
So you know, speaking of the different stages of life and everything, like when is it like most typical that somebody might, you know, need assistance, or you know, when do people like really, you know, pound the sidewalk looking for a mate? Is there a certain stage?
I have like the two groups. I have several groups, but mostly those people. Men and women, both in their 30s and 40s, and they still want families, and all their friends have gotten married and started having families, and they're kind of feeling left behind, is one group. So the never marrieds, I would say. And then I have the whole divorce. I wrote a book called Get It Right This Time, How to Find and Keep Your Ideal Romantic Relationship, but also to the divorced and the group. So there's the whole like 50-plus group. and also the widows and widowers. So they've lost a partner and they really like having that relationship and that partner. So they're seeking new partners for this stage of their lives. And so at all stages, so I mean, I've worked with people from late 20s and all the way into their 70s. And I had a 70-year-old guy.
Everybody
so
deserves
cute.
happiness,
oh, he
right?
was so adorable. Yeah.
We all want that.
And he he really felt like he wanted that partnership. All his friends were married, and he had a good marriage. And I got him online, and he was a real eager beaver. And the funny thing is like I had to kind of slow up his pacing and kind of have him really look at things and do what I call the due diligence to see if somebody was really a good fit. We look at things I call the 3 biggies. The one thing is we look at is, do you have the same goals in life? Do you want the same things? Are you going in the same direction? That's really big, even in that age group, because some people are retired, some people are still working. I remember one of my clients, she wanted to move to Florida, and she was dating this guy in Philadelphia whose kids were still in the house and in college and in a totally different stage that she was in. I mean, she was in her mid-60s and she had her own business. And it just couldn't last because they were going in the different direction, and so they did break up because of that. Even though they liked each other and they had a really good time with each other, the second thing is your core relationship values have to align, and those are really important. And that's what I really work very deeply with my clients around, to make sure that their values, they understand which ones are their relationship values and the ones they need to share with a partner, and the ones that may not need to necessarily be shared with a partner. For instance, one of my core relationship values is being a creative, independent entrepreneur. So I like to write books and do my workshops, and I have an online coaching program. And my husband is an IT guy, and he's not a creative, entrepreneur. So he doesn't need to share my that value, but he needs to respect and appreciate me and support me in it, which he does. And so
and there's another relationship value.
Oh yeah, we have tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you work together as with the couple once?
I have.
Once they connect.
Yeah, I can, and it really depends. Sometimes I still continue to work with my client as they're going through the stages and until engagement or even beyond, just to make sure that the relationship's going on the right path and help them through what I call those relationship hurdles or those glitches. There's always a little glitch. Yeah. Like I had one client, it was a young couple, and they were both software engineers, and she had an equal partnership value. And she got a little upset because they would go out, have dinner, he would pay for that, but then they would go back to her place. Now, he was a perfect gentleman, and they would watch a movie or play a game or something, and she was wondering why they weren't going and to a concert or a theater or doing something more.
They didn't mesh with their values.
So through the coaching, I called her on. I said, well, you have an equal partnership value, but so she did ask him, and I helped her, have that conversation.
And real fast, what's the third one?
The third ones is like what I call your must-haves and would like to have.
Oh.
So the things is sometimes we cut people out because we're cutting them things that we would like to have. Like for instance, I like to dance, let's say. And so my husband, if someone wasn't a good dancer, I might not go out with him. Because he wasn't a good dancer.
So so I want to hear more about that, because that sounds like that's like a very important value and things to really connect
focus on.
Focus on. That's not like just some small thing. So we're just going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue and hear more about what we can learn about dating in this hectic world. So come right back. I'm Nira Berry, host of Happy and Healthy. See you.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hi, welcome back to Happy and Healthy. I'm your host, Nira Berry, and we're going to continue speaking with our guest today, Amy Schoen, and she's a dating and relationship expert. And so we were speaking about what the must-haves are, and and so you wanted to speak more about that? Okay.
So what I like to do with my clients is list what they like, the non-negotiables, the things that are, I call, that you can't give on, things that are really, really important to you. And I'm sure there are a lot of examples. And then the would like to haves. I think it's easier to speak for the would like to haves. And like for me, there are things I could give on. And I love to dance. And my husband really is not a great dancer, although he did take dance lessons and he did try. But there are things that, you really have to kind of look at and say, can I live without this? Is this really, really important? And I call my clients on it. Like one of my clients, she was a petite woman, and she says, well, he has to be over 6 feet. I said, really? I said, if he was like 5'9", and had all the qualities you were looking for, you wouldn't go out with him? And she likes it. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, really, because somebody's so short, like they're going to be able to tell the difference between really 5'9" and 6 feet.
I need to be with a guy who makes me feel like a woman. I don't know. So, so I try to be there and I try to support them and also help them see that maybe what they're doing is standing in their way. When we're talking about what's standing in their way, I think we put things and roadblocks in the way. And I even had to, when I worked with my coach, when I would turn 40, I hired a coach because I felt like I was going around and around in circles, and I'm a really proactive person. I said, something's got to shift, something's got to change. And he called me on it, and I was looking at guys. My husband had never been married, and he was over 40, and I was looking at men over 40, never married, like, what's wrong with them? Yeah. And he's, and I had to, blast through that limiting belief that everybody, I believe now, everyone has their path, and there are reasons why. And I've worked with many, many people over 40. For one reason or another, they may have been in a relationship, like my husband was in a relationship with a woman off and on for 7 years. She dragged him back every time he was like, say, okay, I'm done. And she would drag him back, but she was never, ever motivated to marry. And there are so many signs and characteristics. Like he never got introduced to her father.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if a guy is interested in you, he's going to introduce you to his family.
Yeah, yeah.
And or vice versa. Now, I did wait.
And it depends on the family, but there's probably other telltale signs also.
And I've had clients who've had reasons. They've had crazy people in their family, and they didn't want to do that so soon. But most of the, a man is going to introduce you to his family if he's really into you and wants you to be, to meet that. Yeah. So.
Well, I really like what you said, that you keep doing the same thing. I know that there's a lot of quotes about that if you're going to continue doing the same thing over and over again, like how could you expect a different result?
Right. Exactly.
And so like you said, like something had to shift, like you had to change something. And sometimes we can't figure it out for ourselves. It helps to have an unbiased person look at it and say and look at those obstacles. I went to, when I went to University of Maryland years ago, I went to school with some guy that, he was not any Adonis, but he would only look for like the Miss America type of girl to date. And if she didn't have like every beautiful, outwardly looking, kind of characteristic, then he wasn't interested in going out. And that was it was ridiculous because he never even took into consideration the personality.
And as we get older, our looks are going to change, and it's really the person that really, and what really holds a relationship together is that shared purpose, that shared life goals and shared values.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to carry you through the long term. And it's been proven and proven over and over again.
Yeah.
And when people go through my value-based approach, it really shifts how they look at people and who they're willing to date. And the connection happens very quickly. When both people are motivated, this is the whole tenet of the Motivated to Marry program.
But especially like if somebody's coming to you, I would think that, or if somebody's looking for a relationship, they're really, really looking for a relationship, that's like their intention. So that also kind of gets them into gear, when somebody has the right intention, right?
Sometimes people go through my process, and I've had clients say, you know what, I'm not motivated. And there are other things I want to focus on in my life.
Yeah.
And it gives them clarity.
Yeah, and that's okay.
That's
At least
okay.
they get clarity, right?
I think that's wonderful. You know, when I do my workshops, I have people who walk out and say, thank you, I got a lot out of this. I realized I'm not motivated.
Oh,
because there are certain
there you
things
go,
and characteristics of a motivated and married person. And so, you know, I work with both men and women, and I believe in, there's, you know, we are universal. There's a lot of things that we are similar in, and yes, there are things that we're different as well.
So are there, like, what are, like, some things to keep in mind? You said, you know, for men and women, like, how do they differ? Like, what would you, you know, are there different things that men and women have to look for?
Well, I think, you know, I like the man to take the lead. Not that a woman can't reach out, you know, with the online dating and everything, and or, you know, flirt or whatever way to get a man's attention. You have to get their attention. Now with online dating, you know, we can pass people. And so to say, hi, I'm here. But I do think that a man needs to kind of step up to the plate and take the ball and run with it. So I do coach my male clients a little differently than my female clients. And I have to stop my female clients. I just had a client now that's in a new relationship, and she's a very proactive woman. You know, a lot of my clients are very accomplished people in their careers and everything, and this is the one piece that's missing in their lives. And so I had to kind of say, you know, you need to hold back and you need to wait for him to take action.
Do you find that most people are still living in that old-fashioned, you know,
yes
where the
and
male
no.
takes
I
the
mean,
lead?
I have seen examples where the woman did follow up on a date, and it's because the man was not in a good place in his life. And so not that he didn't really like her, but I think he didn't feel good about himself. And so she did follow up with him. But in the end, he took the ball and he ran with it.
Yeah.
So there's a point. If you're constantly, do you want to be the person who's always pushing the relationship?
Yeah.
There are passive males out there.
Yeah.
That's okay. You know, I mean, there's a whole dating site revolved around it called Bumble, where the women are the ones who initiate and the men are sitting back waiting for the women to make all the effort. I don't recommend it in most cases, but sometimes it depends on the guy that I'm coaching.
So let me talk to you more about the social media. What are some definite yeses and nos in navigating through social media for singles?
Well, I mean, you know, everybody has their Facebook page. I believe that it's important to be on some social media. There are meetup groups. You know, there's a big crossover. There are Facebook groups now. So if you are in Facebook and you have a profile, you can make it very private. You know, you have to know how to deal with, you know, navigate through the privacy. And then, you know, people join Facebook groups. Like I have the Motivated Married Singles. I have a Facebook group. We have over 300 people in that, and that's a national group. I also have a DC group. I have the DC Marriage-Minded Singles, I think.
Well, what could you recommend the people will definitely like do for social media, or definitely don't do for social media?
Well, it's kind of hard. I'd have to take it on a case-to-case basis, but definitely you don't want to friend somebody that you're considering dating until you really know that this is somebody you want in your life.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to get rid of them once they're in your life.
Yeah.
So that would be it. The other thing I really don't like is when men approach women that they've not met. And that could be on Meetup, and then so they're writing, they're targeting. I mean, I have people who've like, on LinkedIn, I've gotten a little letter saying, "Oh, I love your smile." And I'm like, "Did you read my profile?
Yeah,
Do you know what I've done?"
I know, I get that a lot. I get that,
And
like, "Oh, you're single?"
Creepy,
And it's like,
very
yeah,
creepy. So, you know, you don't want to be doing that. And then if somebody is, you know, on a meetup group, I mean, I had a meetup group, then somebody would tell me and I would to ask that person to leave. And then even in my Facebook group, I said, it's not, you don't solicit people in this group. It's for learning and knowledge and to learn from and support from one another.
Okay, great. Well, you know, there's so much more I want to ask you, but we're heading to closing up the show, and so I just wanted to make sure people could find out what about you and your website. So do you want to just give people your website?
Sure. My website is motivatedtomarry.com. So you can find me at Motivated to Marry.
Okay,
I have
great.
a blog and podcasts, and I'm on iTunes, and so do check me out. I have a free e-course. It's really
Okay, great. So I see that you're married,
Yes.
and I wanted to ask you, like, how did you meet your husband? You know, was it through social media?
No, actually I was dating online. It was
Yeah.
around 2000. I was on JDate, Jewish, and looking for my partner, but I did meet him through a group, and the top ways people meet is online, through the activities and things you do and how you spend your time when you're not at work.
Yeah.
And even at work, and through other people. So I met him through a bicycling group that was targeted for professional Jewish singles.
Great.
Yeah,
Well,
we've been married 15 years. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. So thank you so much, Amy, for being my guest today. And I really enjoyed learning all that. And I hope that our guest, our audience, will learn a lot of wonderful things from you. And you gave us a lot of good tips. So this has been Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host and life and happiness coach. And I hope to see you right after the break, where we're going to go on with my Good to Know segment, where I teach you some really good things about living a great life. So see you soon.
The odds of this boy achieving his dream in fashion? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Hi, I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach and your host of Happy and Healthy. And now I'm going to share with you what's good to know. And what's good to know is all about procrastination. And I know many of you really, struggle with this. I mean, it's a common human experience. We all deal with procrastination at some point in our life. And, sometimes it's okay to procrastinate. Like, for instance, you could give yourself a day off sometimes and just have a lazy day and maybe not get things done. It's okay. But if you feel that it's happening more and more in your life and it's happening on a regular basis, so you might want to maybe break that habit. And it's actually pretty easy. By just following some steps and some guidelines, you could really get there. Having a lot of procrastination in your life can add to a lot of stress. You end up possibly not doing work or being successful at work. Possibly people may not rely on you as a good leader at work or a co-worker, or may not trust that you'll be able to get the job done. It may not help you for success in relationships for the same reasons. People may not want to rely on you or trust you. I know some people that they laugh about and they say, oh, on my tombstone it's going to say oh, I'll get it done tomorrow, But procrastination can make our lives difficult, and there's ways that you can get around it. And so one of the ways is to really visualize yourself getting it done, and maybe even write down the things that you need to get done. And when you write it down, for each one, try to segment it, try to take it apart and see what do you need to do to get it done. Take apart each part and really think about what obstacles may get in the way of you accomplishing each task. And really think about it. Is it your own emotions? Some people have a fear of success, believe it or not, or sometimes fear of failure. It could be that you're just in a bad mood. And so there's different things that you can do, and you can plan for that. And so really planning and looking at the obstacles and all that could really work well. You can also plan each morning to get things done. Even before you turn on your cell phone, even before you check your emails, maybe allow a half hour of getting the certain tasks done that you're going to need to do that day. And that's really important. Another way of overcoming a lot of procrastination is bundling. And I call it the bundling effect. And with bundling, you can really get things done. And what I mean by that is, for instance, maybe you hate paying bills, but maybe you can bundle paying bills with something that you love to do, like maybe eating chocolate ice cream, and maybe only allow yourself once a week to eat chocolate ice cream when you pay your bills. Or how about exercising? Like some people say, like, oh, I'll exercise tomorrow, and they really put off exercising. But how about you watch your favorite TV show only while you're exercising? And that's a really good way of bundling. And really put some skin in the game. Like, really tell your friends, hold yourself accountable. Get a life coach to hold you accountable. You couldn't even decide that each time you put off something that you'll donate, X amount of money to charity. And so there's many ways that you can get over it. And I think that if you work a little bit at it, you might be able to do it. And when you do, you'll see that you'll have a more calm life, a more relaxing life, and even be more productive. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'd love to hear your comments and feedback. You could always reach me, Nira Berry, the happiness coach, at happyandhealthy@mmctv.org. I look forward to seeing you next time, so have a happy life.